Here we go again. Get ready for ballot confusion and neither side willing to trust election results. My name is Sirius. This is Unfluenced. I deliver news that's underreported, but more important than you know. Wisconsin. I hate Wisconsin, but that's a personal matter. After I tell you about this, you will hate Wisconsin too.
So, for their insolence, God decreed that neither Loki nor Bartleby would ever be allowed back into paradise.
Were they sent to hell?
Worse, Wisconsin.
In 2022, the state Supreme Court decided that unmanned, unsupervised ballot drop boxes were illegal, and Wisconsin can't use them anymore. Well, that lasted an entire 2 years. 2 years where there wasn't any election. But in an astounding reversal in a 4-3 decision, they just reversed their previous decision, and it's once again totally fine to have ballot drop boxes scattered around and unsupervised. Now, just to make sure that I understand this correctly, a person can drop a ballot at any time of day or night. In theory, they can drop 2 ballots, 5 ballots, 10,000 ballots. The drop boxes are unsupervised. They might have a camera watching the drop box, but cameras fail all the time. Go ahead and ask Jeffrey Epstein about that. So if Wisconsin election results are slightly off the polling data, we're gonna have another issue. Both sides are gonna say they don't trust the results. This is gonna be a disaster. Now, this is wild speculation, so this is not a news story, and nothing has happened yet. So this isn't election denial. This is just an observation of a possible event that might happen. Was that enough disclaimers? Okay, here we go. Now, there was a lot of speculation about the election in 2020. Let's just say that the polling numbers didn't match the election results. Now, polling data might have been wrong. Plus, this was the first time we had a national mail-in ballot system. I've heard rumors that mail-in ballots weren't exactly matched with registered voters in every location. Plus, if you believe any of the information in the 2000 Mules documentary, then some people may have dropped more ballots into drop boxes than they were supposed to. The truth is, we just don't know exactly what happened in every location. However, when you create a system where the most precious part of a democratic republic is voting, when a drop box can accept ballots 24/7 from anyone who can access the drop box, there's no control of who can vote or how many times a person can vote. It is technically possible for thousands of people to drop tens of thousands of ballots, even though they're not registered or even legal citizens at all. I'm just saying the potential for fraud exists. There's always a potential for fraud. But this appears to make it extremely easy. Some people might say if they want it to be wide open and no security at all. I could be wrong, but for right now, that's my opinion. Now, the worst part about this is the potential for vandalism. The worst case scenario. Let's play devil's advocate. I'm not suggesting anything. This is just a thought experiment. What happens if someone dumps a quart of used motor oil into the drop box? Oil makes the text bleed off the paper. It becomes illegible on a paper ballot. What happens next? Do those ballots get thrown away? Now, all of those legal ballots might just disappear. Now, I can imagine that happening in a red district. All the Trump votes just go away. I mean, they can't even contact the voters to recast the ballot. The paper's ruined. No one knows what is what. But what about blue districts? What kind of fraud could happen there? Extra ballot dumping, fake ballots that get counted as real ones, actual Russian agents dropping ballots and borscht in the ballots to pick a winner? Please understand, these are just speculations. But why take the chance? What possible reason would the Wisconsin State Supreme Court do this? Why would they purposefully make the ballot process less secure and also easier to manipulate? And don't give me that racist nonsense about minorities can't get to the polls on election day. That's a load of crap and you know it. You're an idiot if you think brown people can't get to the polls on voting day. If you believe that talking point, you are in fact the racist. If you can hold a job, get a driver's license, get a library card, or catch a bus that runs on a specific schedule, you can show up to vote during a process that lasts all day long. Voting should be one day, in person, with an ID check. Period. Anything less is to facilitate fraud. Everyone knows it, but they're lying for another purpose. You can only guess the purpose, but I think we all know. All right, let me pretend to be a Republican for one moment. Republicans always bend, always compromise to give Democrats what they want. Let's settle on drop boxes that are open for a 24-hour period. One day. That gives workers an extra window to drop off their ballots. Let's say a nurse has to work a 14-hour shift and can't get to the polls during the standard window of time. But those ballot drop boxes need to be protected. Video camera, audio recording, license plate readers coming and going, plus an armed security officer. Could be a cop, could be a Secret Service team, could be National Guard, but an armed guard would prevent a lot of fraud. That's my compromise. Now, when a government makes it impossible to detect fraud while enabling fraud, some would call them, wait, what's the term? I know there's a word for it. Oh, actually, I don't have to say it. Elon did. Traitors. Even Elon Musk sees it. He's calling it out loud and proud. Hey, if you're mad, sue him. I'm just reporting on the news. But with all of that, that's not what scares me. But what if the world sees our election as a giant fraud? Would NATO get involved to monitor the results? The NATO Parliamentary Assembly. The Assembly does not have a standing mandate to monitor elections. However, in exceptional circumstances and when invited by national authorities, the Assembly took the decision to send delegations to observe the conduct of election processes. In each of these instances, the Assembly has joined forces with the parliamentary assemblies of the OSCE and the Council of Europe, the European Parliament, and the OSCE Office for Democratic Institutions and Human Rights. For instance, the Assembly has been invited to monitor all presidential and parliamentary elections in Ukraine since the 2004 presidential elections, which triggered the Orange Revolution. Now just imagine that NATO takes over our government to choose the winner. It has happened before. Or what about this? What about China? Maybe they could send advisors like we did in Vietnam. Advisors, just to help clear things up. Now, if we don't have a president that everyone agrees is in charge, China could literally walk into Congress and take charge. Now, the Democrats love communism, and the Republicans, they would just bend over and take it. Interesting times, my friends, interesting times. Any thoughts? Let's talk about it. Leave a comment. Could a foreign entity come in and help with the election? Could it even be possible? Am I way off base? Let me know. This is going to get fun. See you tomorrow.